right, that if the battery's disconnected, it's not going to bother the circuits in the vehicle? I would hate to be in a situation where I found out I was wrong on that. Supposedly about home security, and we'd be talking about bugging in. So, in any urban situation, there are ways to discourage people from trying to come up to your house. And the thing you need to realize is that if your house looks inviting, looks like you've got stuff, that's an invitation. Somebody is going to want to come and, number one, see what you have. And number two, if they find something worth taking, they're going to take what you have, either with your unwilling cooperation or without your cooperation. So, everybody likes their house to look like this. Clean, inviting, and that's going to probably get you killed if things go bad. So to the making your homeowners association, your neighbors ticked off, that's probably what you want your house to look like. Nothing. All right? Or a little bit abandoned, like that. So y'all realize that in an urban situation, you're not really going to have the ability to build a perimeter, are you? I mean, your neighbor's right there, 5, 10, 20 feet away. Does your neighbor know what you have? You talk to your neighbor about what you have. You talk to him about the fact that you're prepped. Who does he talk to? That's the same thing that happens when people get burgled. They talk about what they got, and the next thing you know, they say, hey, Joe Jones has got a nice big safe of cash and guns and jewelry in his basement. And the next thing you know, you have a little bit of a home invasion situation, or you got kind of a bad situation because all of a sudden your stuff may be migrating out the door without your willing participation. So, that's one of your solutions right there. A hedge. The reason I say a hedge is because if you put up walls around your house, again, you're advertising that there's something you're trying to protect. That hedge is made out of that hedge is a plant called Pyracantha. All right? It has 4-inch thorns. It grows in such a way that you would be very hard pressed to push a truck through that thing at 20 miles an hour. All right? Very pretty looking plant. But as you can see at the top of the picture, there's about a 4-inch thorn sticking up on that thing. Huh? No, that is not it. All right? But this is on YouTube, and if anybody wants the names of the plants, I'll give them to you. Another one is Japanese barberry. You can see that thing just looks nasty because you can almost see the thorns sticking out of it. Another way to use a little bit of a lower hedge there. How do you guys like roses?
Second.
That's another one. All right? Roses have thorns. You can use any or all or mixture of these plants to control somebody's ability to approach your house. You're not going to stop them from coming up to your house, but you're going to put them into a, for lack of a better word, I'll say a kill zone in a shit hit fan situation. That may be the difference between whether you make it or don't. So let's talk about what we've done so far. We're talking about number one, make your house not look very inviting. Get a bunch of raggedy old thorny bushes out in front, and people really are not going to try and come through those. They're going to have to do what? Go through your gates. Okay? These are all things that can make it very difficult for people to approach you and mess with you and take your thing. The shortest thorns in any of these plants is the rose bush, which is they're between 1/4 and 1/2 inch long. Okay, you have a question?
Yeah, as far as your house being fortified or looking abandoned, wouldn't it have an abandoned have the opposite effect as far as people like squatters or somewhere to stay? Your house isn't like there's no way there, invite potential people to come in just to.
That's where you're in a balancing act. You don't want it to look abandoned necessarily. You want it to look like you don't have anything. Okay? You know, so where it's not worth somebody's trouble to try and get in there because whoever it is doesn't have anything. That's like last month when we were talking about, well, okay, fine, you know, if it's wintertime and we need to eat, obviously you can't start up a wood stove because you're going to create smoke and everybody's going to go, hey, you know, you can smell stuff cooking from how far away. You know, that falls right in with that type thing. So the first 30, 60 days, maybe you won't get to be eating cold food. Because if you heat it up, people are going to, number one, smell it. Number two, they're going to see the smoke. It's just like a, you know, shoot a flare off in the air saying, hey, here we are. Next thing I want to talk about is doors. What is the purpose of the door? Get in and out of your house, right?
Keep things out.
Huh?
Keep things out.
Well, you're not going to keep people out, okay?
Keep honest people out.
You're going to keep honest people out,
Protect that from me.
and that is something you need to think about, okay? I mean, you can bar the doors, you can put up steel doors that are 2-inch thick steel, and then you're going to get somebody like Chris come by. Remember Chris's class, the little pry bar?
That was Randy.
Huh?
That was Randy.
Randy? Okay, I'm sorry. Randy with the pry bar.
I got a big fire.
And how long is any door you're going to put up, even if you bar it and you armor it, how long is that going to hold up before somebody's going to say, well, let's go to the window? Okay? Let's bust in through the windows. Unless they can fly with them or whatever. You still, all you're going to do is delay the inevitable. If it looks like you're armored, or if it looks like you're trying to protect something, you're just going to bring people to you. You're not going to keep them away. That's something you need to think about as you go through this. That door is going to do you no good. Okay, and then you can say, well, I'll put bars on the windows. Bars on the windows will probably cause more people to die unless you got handy quick releases on those windows that you can get out of them. You just set your own grave. Okay? So you get into a real fine balancing act on how you're going to keep people away from your house and make it look uninviting, but not abandoned. Okay? The other thing you got to worry about is your everyday practicality of, are you going to tick off your neighbors? Are you going to tick off the city? You know? So, not easy solutions. Not easy solutions. And that is, one of the things I did want to talk about is, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna get through this thing? All right? Very fine balancing act. So let's talk about weapons, okay? Let's say, okay, now I've done everything I can to keep people out of my house. Now when they get in, what am I gonna do? Baseball bat, golf club? I believe that the best single weapon you can have in your arsenal is a pump shotgun. All right? You can load that a number of ways. And it doesn't have to be a 12 gauge. I mean, I know everybody, you know, yeah, I got a 12 gauge pump. All right? It really doesn't matter whether it's a 12, a 20, or 16, 410, or if you're more man than I, a 10 gauge. But all of those weapons will serve you well. What I've got up here is a picture of slugs, shotgun slugs, and sabots. All right? Now what a sabot is it's a smaller caliber bullet put into a plastic sleeve that fits the shotgun. Sabots are also what they used in our M1 tanks that were so devastating during the Iraqi wars. All right? Those were depleted uranium, but obviously we're not going to be using that stuff. But, you know, you can get copper sabots, you can get lead sabots, a number of different types you can get. And you get very good velocity out of the round, good penetration. So that's something to think about. The reason I suggest a pump shotgun is because when you get that, I don't care where you're from, I don't care if you've never heard that sound before in your life, you know deep down inside here something bad is going to happen. You don't have to say a word, you don't have to say I've got a gun, you rack that thing and prepare to fire. Enough said, anybody with any kind of gray matter is going to be heading down the road. Gauge is a shotgun. 12 gauge is nice. 10 gauge is better if you can handle it. If you got people with children, your child's not going to handle 12 gauge. Your wife may not want to handle a 12 gauge, but she can probably handle a 20. Child, probably a 410. That's what my wife has to use, is a 410. That right there is the gun I like better than any other. Any family can use it. That's a Mossberg 500 and 410 gauge. Not horribly expensive. Easy to feed because 410 is cheap. Easy to train with. It is a short gun, so you can get around corners within the house if you have to go clear your house. Which leads me to one other point. When do you go? If you're not going to tough it out in the city, when do you go? Huh? Now.
Go now.
Well,
as soon as you get the inclination, go.
right. And the reason I say that is number one, you do not want to travel on a freeway or expressway. You don't want to travel on a U.S. highway. You don't want to travel on a state highway. If you've got a place you're going to go, you need to do a route check and make sure you can get there without going through any towns. That is harder than you would ever believe. Why do I say that? You hit the road, you got your bug out vehicle, it's all loaded to the gills with guns, ammunition, food, family. You come to the first town, what's going to happen? Roadblock, right? Are they gonna let you go back? What's gonna happen to you?
Take your stuff.
You're probably dead and all your stuff is theirs now. Because they're gonna have that roadblock manned with enough people to make your resistance meaningless. Alright? You're gonna be dumped in a little shallow hole out in the field somewhere, and they're gonna have your guns, your ammo, and all them nice groceries that you've been hauling around. So, timing, when do you go? You go as soon as you have an inclination, and hopefully you're gonna go before anybody else realizes what's going on. So you can use that expressway to get there quickly. You can get through those towns before they put the barriers up. And hopefully you'll get there in one piece and you're going to survive this thing. How many people in this country? 350 million, something like that? They're saying 310 million or 320 million people are going to die. If there's an EMP event. Which is another thought. How many of you got bug out vehicles? Are they EMP proof? Do they have chips? If it's built after, I think, 74, they're going to have a chip in that circuit that runs that vehicle somewhere. Okay? I know a lot of guys that like to buy the older vehicles, and that's the first thing they do is they put electronic ignition in that baby. Make it run better and get better gas mileage. The trouble is, it's chips. Chips will cease to function. And even if you've got something 74 or older, chances are your voltage regulator, if you change it anytime in the last 10 or 15 years, it's going to be transistorized. So you need to have a spare voltage regulator. You may need to have a spare alternator, because those a lot of times are going to have chips in them. So, that's about what I've got. Okay. Right, that if the battery's disconnected, it's not going to bother the circuits in the vehicle. I would hate to be in a situation where I found out I was wrong on that.